Oh, snap. Let's see here. I think that's on. Sign into chat. All messages you send will appear publicly. That's weird. It wants me to sign in to do my own chat. I don't know. Let's see. I am signed in. Why can't I see it? A little bit of technical difficulties. I don't know how to sign in. Apparently to see the chat. Yeah. Your channel, your YouTube. Well, I'm just gonna have to close that down. Click on this button. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Give me 1 second here. Okay, well, hey, what's up, Dutrut? I think it's Dutrut, yeah. I'm trying to figure out, it won't actually let me sign in, or I was trying to type something in chat and it wouldn't let me. Oh. My computer, okay, there we go. Oh, I see, I have to type in here. Ah, that's right, because they want you to type through the YouTube chat window. Maybe. I don't know. It's all weird. Okay. What's up, Benny Blaze? How you doing? Okay, let's see. Oh, I just realized one more thing. I have a little bit of light coming through. I gotta fix that real quick. Well, at least that somewhat blocks the light. Okay. Sweet. Sorry about that. Okay. Now there's no glaring light on my main computer screen here, which is nice. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is create a data structure to be able to to have this view control run off of it. Right here, this is all the code we wrote last time. Let me close all of these. Make this a little bit smaller. So before we just added in a whole bunch of data directly into the view. So this time around, we're actually going to create a data structure. So for that, instead of it being in the UI, I'm actually going to create a new package. That's basically a way to separate the different files and such like things like that. So the new package is just going to be called data, because that's what it is. And in there, we are going to create a new Kotlin file. And it's going to be, let's call it steps data. Yeah, just do steps. Steps data. Okay. So in here, this is a brand new file that allows us to basically a clean slate for whatever we want to build. in Kotlin, they have data objects, which are pretty good for creating data objects that are basically just to hold data. And so that's what I'm going to do here. Wow, I'm hearing some feedback from somewhere. Let me know if you hear that. If you hear any feedback, let me know. And inside the step data class, basically all the data that we need. Let's do it for the week. Yeah, let's refactor this, rename, and we're gonna call it weekly steps data. Weekly steps data. This way we can cut it off week by week. We could technically go further than that and have a daily steps data, but for now I think weekly is fine. So inside here it has to have at least one constructor, and yeah. Sorry, my throat. Oh, you said yes, there is a buzz? Okay, let me listen real quick. I hear that too. In the mic setup. Let's see. Let's bring this down a little bit. How does that sound? Does that sound better? Or is there still a buzz? I can always lower it down a little bit if need be. If not, I'm gonna have to do a test stream sometime in the near future to figure out my audio better. Okay, and inside this weekly steps data, we're going to have data, and we're just gonna assume each week is gonna have 7 days. You know, even if all the data isn't there, we're just gonna assume 7 days worth. And there's gonna be a goal for the week. So let's start out with goal, and it's gonna be of type, I believe it was float is what we decided on, right? Let's see. We're gonna find, that's not what I wanted. Find goal, and goal was a float. Perfect. Goal was a float, and we're gonna default that to 4,000. And it's probably gonna complain here. Integer literal does not conform to the expected type float. So yeah, I have to make sure I add in the F to let the computer know that this is not a whole number, but a floating point number. So if I wanted to, I could break it down into, you know, to a decimal point if I need to. Okay, so for this data class, we're going to have a float, and then we're going to have, what we need is 7 days worth of steps. So I could write them out the same way as over here, day 1, day 2, day 3, and just toss this directly in there, like so. And that there is doable, like it would be okay with that. But what I would like to do instead is to make it in an array of data. And the way you do that is you actually, instead of day 1 steps, you just say something like, you change it to daily steps, and then all of this data can be converted over to something else. So for now, I'm going to move this down and just comment it out. Okay, so daily steps is going to be instead a list, and it's going to be a list of floats, list of, and then I give it the different elements that it could be. So this is basically saying that I want a list of these floats here. And then it's saying this is going to be equal to, for default, it's going to be equal to whatever is in here. And right now it's just an empty list. So there's no items in there, but it is an object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put each one of these values in there. And I'm pretty much just going to take these right here and slap them in there. So what this does is this creates a list. Here, let me auto format that. Okay, so yeah, it looks like it's good. The first one's going to have 1,039, 2,000, 1,500, all the way down. And there's 7 of them, so that's 1 for each day. So I can get rid of all of these now. And so for this weekly steps data, if I go back to the basic chart, I can actually pass it in. I can actually use it now. So I'm importing it right here. This is saying bring in the other file. And this is the name of it. So I'm going to say value. The name of it's going to be weekly data. I'm going to make that equal to weekly steps data. Then in here, I should be able to give it my goal and a list of excuse me, a goal and a list of how many steps I've taken. Let's see here. So weekly data, I'm going to take that and I'm going to see what's inside of it. So I type in weekly data and I put a dot. That lets me access everything inside of it. And it says that there is a goal and steps data. So inside steps data, or sorry, daily steps, I should say. When we hit dot, it lets me access the stuff inside of it. So it's saying that it's an array. And I can get, for an example, the size of how many, what the array is, which would right now come out to be 7. Because there's 7 days. Or I can actually access a given day by giving it a number between 0 and 6. It's going to complain to me and say, hey, we should instead use this array symbol, which allows it to basically you just throw the index in there and then it does the stuff to get the information out for you. So in a sense, this is the same as this data here. Weekly data, daily steps, day 6, or day 7, because 0 to 6 means 1 through 7. It's kind of weird that way, but yeah. Okay. Something in programming that you have to get used to. Everything starts at 0 and works its way up. Okay, let's see here. So we have this structure, so we don't need daily steps. This is gonna mess up everything when I remove this. Lots of errors. But since we already have goals and we already have daily steps, we can just replace that when we go down to each one of these errors. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this smaller, get this out of the way so we can get the preview out of the way, and then we're gonna go through and fix all these errors real quick. So if goal is greater than, okay, so before we had, we set day 4 to have the most steps, which is kind of just a way to fake the data so we can know, skip some math that we didn't need to do before. But I'm gonna go ahead and just put in the same information here. Goal. Now basically we can put weekly data in front of anything that says goal. And I can search for those. I can also automatically replace them if I want to. But if I do that, then it would, for example, add that in, and that's not what we want. So looking for more goals, there's another one right there. I'm gonna throw that in there. And that's it. So the goal is fixed. And now we're gonna fix all the days real quick. So here, we're just going to assume that day 4 is still the highest. So day 4 is actually day 3 in the data structure, or index 3. And I can get rid of that. And we'll come back to fix this to actually calculate which day is the highest day. Let's see, day 4 steps. We can replace all the day 4 steps. Day 4. Day 4. I think that's it there. Okay. And now we'll go ahead and replace the rest of these. Day 1 is 0. Day 2 is 1. This is where you can become more efficient with what you're doing, because you can use arrays and keep the data structured in such a way that you don't actually have to deal with every variable manually, which is really nice. Okay, so day 1 percentages, or day 1 through 7 percentages, are still calculated based upon the data inside daily steps. I'm just going down and fixing. Right now, if I try to build it, this right here would be all broken. So I'm gonna wait to fix that. So day 1 steps, let's change that to 0. Let's copy this. Day 2 is actually index 1. Bam, index 2, let's see which one's this. Yeah, 2, then 3. Next is 4 for day 5. And sorry, that would have been another bug. It's actually day 6 is number 5, and then day 7 is number 6. That's one of the hardest things to get used to, is being one number off for like everything you do. But it does help with math later on in certain areas. So, let's see here. I think if I re-render this, it should still come out the same. It's running down here. It says Gradle build running. Let's see. Okay. Ooh, something disappeared here. Is it not? Did it not show up again? Let's see what happened here. Initializer is redundant. Okay, that's not important. Where did it go? It was just a bug in the IDE. Okay. For those who want to know, IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. It basically adds a whole bunch of tools together into this program that allows you to program and build and see a whole bunch of like file structure, visual aspects, even now the phone, which is pretty cool. The fact that they allow you to have the phone directly in the program now, instead of having it be like an attachment or plugin. It still is. It's just now it's actually a part of it, which is great. Okay. So now that we have a data structure, we can also, move some of this logic, some of these things like calculating which day is the highest. We can move, right here. We're assuming that day 4 is the highest day, because we need something to basically scale the rest of the graph by. So instead of doing that, we're actually going to have a what's the word I'm looking for? We're going to have the object, the data, calculate that for us. So we also have this multiplier here, which I went over the other day. Basically, this multiplier is this. Let's see. If goal is greater than day 3, this is if it's under. Yeah. So this multiplier basically just scales down and up the data based upon based upon a certain ratio that allows us to more or less keep this goal line in a certain location. And then if, for example, this if the day ends up being like 20,000 steps and it shoots way up, and this goal line will actually move down with the rest of the data, kind of squishing it. Hello, Crypto Locker Room Talk. Oh, Crypto Locker Room Talk, nice. The font is so far away, so it's kind of like really hard to see. But yeah, I didn't even think about my font being possibly small too. Let me look to see how big that is on screen. Doesn't look too bad. Excuse me. Okay, just got on eating lunch. Okay, so the next part of this is we're going to have the object calculate, the data object actually calculate which day has the most amount of steps in it. So we want to basically start taking some of this calculations out of the visual object and just let the visual object worry about its own concerns about displaying data. That's it. So the way we do this is we go ahead and we jump over to the object here, and then we create a function on this, or in this case, an extension function, which is something I really like. In Kotlin, you're able to create an extension function directly on the object, but in a way that it allows you to call it like it's a part of the object, but it's not really. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like, for example, a car can start, so can a plane and a computer, right? They all can start. So it's like saying, okay, all of these items have the ability to start, and so I'm going to create like instructions for that to happen, like an interface. Oh, what's buzzing? Is that my phone? Oh yeah, it is my phone. Okay, I'm gonna ignore that. Let's see. So I'm gonna say, how do I want to do this? Do I want to get the actual index of the day or the actual steps? I think I want to get max steps. Get max steps. Get max daily steps. Daily. There we go. And so that's going to create this thing. So when I jump back over to I don't want that. When I jump back over to the chart on this weekly data that I made, I should be able to get max daily steps. So it appears now. Let's see here. Jackie, mind blown. I could never do this. That's what I thought too. Oh, look at that, Sailor Moon. That's funny. I forgot I was wearing this shirt today. I thought I could, when I was younger, I was like, oh, I really want to make games. I want to program. But I didn't start just making games and making programs. I started with the very basic. How do I get a window to appear? Like literally, how do I get a square box to appear and says, hey, hello world? And so just like riding a bike, you start one step and the next and the next and the next, and you take off the training wheels and you just learn. And it takes a long time. I've been in programming for, let's see, I'm 37. I don't even know, 24 years or something. But only a little bit for the first like 10 years. A little bit here, a little bit there, as I could find. That's when the internet was, when Google and all that was just becoming a thing. So back then there was American Online, there was AIM for Instant Messenger, and then Yahoo Instant Messenger. And that was like it. Or Yahoo chat rooms or something. I don't know. Yeah. Oh man, I feel like I'm getting older. Okay, so now we have access to get max daily steps. So whatever is inside here, it executes that code. That's awesome. Thank you. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out which one of these is the most is the highest, right? But I also got to let the program know, this function, whoever calls this function needs to know that, hey, I'm going to return back to you a float. And now it's going to give me this little error down here. It says a return expression is required. in a function with a block body. So that means I'm supposed to, with this, it means it's saying, hey, I'm going to return a floating point value. So I must say return and then give it a value. So for now, I'm just going to give it 1000 and the error goes away. So I'm saying I'm returning 1000, but that's not really what I want to return. It's just, that's what's expected. AIM. I used to have all the AIM discs, you know, the old CD discs. They were used for many things. Hanging them on the wall and having laser lights hit them and bounce all over the place. Having AIM war discs thrown at each other. Because you'd get them in the mail all the time, or just with every little thing you buy. Oh, here's a free AIM disc. Ah, man, that was so crazy. Anyways, yeah, so in here we're going to calculate which day has the most. And I believe I'm able to do that with some pretty cool functions. So daily steps here is a data structure that has it. I should be able to say something along the lines of I should be able to filter through these. Filter. I wonder if there's if there's something already built in that says, hey, get max. I'm gonna see if there is, because you never know. Max by or null. Max of. I've actually never used this before. Let's look at one of these. Max by or null. Let's see what this actually says inside. And jump into some into some core programming that was done by the Google devs. Return the first element yielding the largest value of the given function, or null, which is basically a nothing object if there is no element. So this is going to compare max value. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to try max by or null. And so what is it saying that it wants? Type mismatch. It requires a comparable object found unit. Okay, so unit is just a blank type. Okay, so I'm gonna try to see what happens. I haven't used this, so let's see what happens. So it says it is float. So if I type in the word it's saying that this is a floating value. Is that all at once? Sometimes when you learn stuff, it's pretty cool. I mean, I love learning, so this is something new to me. So it's saying, I'm gonna rename this it to value, because it sounds better. Can I even use that word, or is it a keyword? Yeah, I can use that word. So basically, I'm returning its value. Yeah, basically gonna loop through them. It's going to loop through them and then give me the highest value. Let's find out if it works. Max value equals. Okay, so this new max value is going to be set after this runs. It's going to run this, loop through all of these values, and find the highest, hopefully, and stick it back through into max value. And if this works, that saves a lot of math. Let's see what it says. Oh, there's a type mismatch, because this right here can return, it has the possibility of returning null. And this right here says, wait a minute, what you're returning cannot be null. So I can either put a question mark here on the float, which says it's nullable. It means it can be nothing, or a float. Instead of doing that, I'm actually going to just say either return max value, or if that is null, return 0. Because at that point, it doesn't matter. So that means 0. If it comes back null, that means 0 is the highest for that week. Which, if you haven't moved any steps in the week, we need to talk. Either that or you might be in the hospital or something. I get it. Life happens. Okay, so let's see if this actually works. The way we can do this, find out, is we can take this and see what value comes out here. Test value equals. So this test value, I'm actually going to throw up onto weekly steps chart demo down here, right in here, just to see what happens. I'm gonna refresh that and see if what number it throws up. 5,034. Let's go back and check the data. Yep, it took the it found the highest data. Dadgone Crypto, what's up? Just keep kicking ass tonight. Thank you, I appreciate it. So my goal is to do a lot of the visual stuff on stream, and then the more boring stuff off stream, because there are things I'm working on, like Fitbit integration, and then Google I can't think of the name. Google Health. Let me look real quick. I think it's called Google Health. Oh, Google Fit. Yeah, so Fitbit and Google Fit are the two that I'm integrating with at first, and then we can move on from there. Let's see. And then, of course, once I get that in and I get this weekly step chart done, then we can get into profile, you know, like actual getting the different screens working and all of that, along with the settings and everything. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I love it. But first things first. Oh, that's kind of small. Okay, so now that we can get the highest day of the week, or the data for the highest for the week, we might as well here, instead of doing this calculation, well, actually, instead of daily steps day 4, because we're no longer using that, we're actually using get max daily steps. Right there, we'll actually do the calculation. And then it seems like I still need to do this though, because we still have the goal, and we still have this ratio here. I'm actually going to turn this into a variable and call this scale ratio. And that's going to be replacing these. And that just made something mess up. Why? That's a question. Why did it jump down like that? Probably because I changed. Okay. It's because I actually made a change that broke the chart. Okay, so yeah. So now that we have that, so it's kind of odd. We're keeping things relatively the same as we're working through this, which seems kind of silly, but the idea is to start cleaning up the code and moving stuff away from the data that's set up in here. Like, for example, these goal percentages, and then we can just stick to just having, instead of doing math right here to determine that, we already have that calculated. Okay, so the next step is to take, let's see here. So we're going down here. We did that piece. We're setting the step scale. So this has a little squiggly mark under it, and it's saying that the assignment can be lifted out of the if statement. So if I do this, if I click on this and automatically do that, it's going to take this piece right here and set it in front of it, and then have the equal sign. So I'm going to show you that right now. It actually puts it in front of it and has it automatically set and then removes the assignment from each one of these two sections, which is, it's interesting because that's not something that you used to do in the past. It's something that's like a newer form of coding, which I really like. So here, let me step back here. So I'm gonna make a copy of this so you can see the difference. And then there. So it's basically one less step. Instead of putting both of these here and here, you're actually just saying this is the return value if this happens, and this is the return value if else happens, and then it sets it to step count, which is weird to get used to, but hey, things change. And so now that I have that, I don't even need this anymore. I can just put the creation and the assignment together, condensing again another step of the programming smaller. And then we have this right here, one more piece. Instead of using daily steps 3, we already know the max, the highest. Now I'm just gonna put that in there and replace it. Perfect. Okay. I'm gonna erase this, get this out of the way. Oh yeah, so there's a difference between val and var. Var is a variable, where val is something that is a variable that can't be changed. So I don't plan on changing the step scale. So I'm just gonna make that a val. Okay. So now day percentages. These are just the goal percentages. This is saying where does the goal line fit compared to everything else, and then also where does each of the bars go to compared to everything else. I'm trying to think if I think that's okay, actually. I think, yeah. I think these right here do need to be in here. Okay, so let's scroll down here and see. So we have max height times day 1 percentage. Is day 1 percentage being used anywhere else besides those two places? It's not. And just to double check, I can find usage, and then I can see it's only being used in one location. So instead of having day 1 percentage and times max height, I'm just going to get day 1 height instead. So day 1 height. And what this is going to do is I'm basically taking out the math from the actual drawing. So day 1 height, I'm basically just saying do the calculation up here. So this right here is going to be the first set of math, and then what we're looking for is max height times that calculation. So I'm going to say max height times the previous calculation. So that gives me day 1 height, which is the same math. I'm just moving it all into this one line instead of having it inside the view structure here. And then I can just move right along the bottom and do the same thing here. So let's do this. And that's going to, of course, cause a problem. Let's do 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Okay, and then we can also do the same thing to the rest of these. I really like doing that. You can middle click and drag, and basically you can paste anywhere the cursor replicates itself. I only need it here, so, and then at the end of these as well. There. So it's saying do this math first inside the parentheses, times it by the max height, and that's the day 1 height. And so now we have these new variables we're just going to stick these where the other math is at, getting rid of those. And there's a reason for this. The goal behind this is to separate this chart into smaller components. And so that's going to be next, right after I fill these in. What is this? Day 4 height, day 5 height, day 6. Oops. What did I just do? Yeah, day 6 height, and then day 7. Okay, and that should come out to be exactly the same chart. The whole idea about having the chart first, the way you want it, basically you want to make changes to it, to the code to make it more efficient, and then still see the same thing. And then if that's how, this is like the test. This is how you know the chart isn't messed up. The code that you changed didn't mess up the chart. Okay, so that part's done. And now the next part is breaking up each of these columns into its own piece. So right here we have this test chart. We are going to make a, we are going to make a test day. And that right there is going to be right below it. I'm going to call it test day. And then I'm going to copy the start of this. Actually, I'm actually going to copy the day. Here is a day right here. We're going to put that in there. And it doesn't know what weight is, or day 1 height, or weekly data, because it doesn't have access to any of that right now. So the reason why it doesn't know what weight is, because weight is a property right here. It's a property of the row. So it doesn't know what row means. Or it doesn't know what weight is because it doesn't know that it's going to be sitting inside of a row. The way you fix that is you make an extension function called row. No, not keyboard row. Row scope test day. And so now this is basically saying, hey, this test day is going to be something that is going to live inside of a row. And that way it has access to the weight. It doesn't know what height is yet. So we are going to, for now, give it a height. And we're going to set that height to, let's just do 50. 50.dp for now. And it's going to be a value. And then we're going to say the text that is sitting right here on the bottom. For right now, we're just going to give it the text of, insert is on. Give it the text of 1000 for now. Okay, so now we're going to hit build and refresh. We're going to see what happens right here in this new view down below. Okay, so it shows nothing. The reason why it shows nothing is because it doesn't have like a size to it. Let's see what the top one has real quick. The top one says fill max width and the height of 200 in the modifier. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down and we're going to, fill max width. And then I'm going to take this weight for now. Actually, you know, let me think about that. Weight 1. I'm going to take the weight 1 off for now, just so I can see it. We're going to refresh. See what happens here. This is interesting. Preview, row scope, test day. What is happening here? Why is it not showing up? Fill max width. Let's give it a width, a set width, and a set height. Width is going to be 200.dp. To get to the bottom of it, this should give us a size. And it's saying background yellow. There should be a yellow square here, and it's not appearing. Let's see what happens. Maybe I made a mistake on the row scope part. Okay, so there's something about that extension. I'll have to check this out. So what I'll do is I'll write a to-do for myself, and then I'll say check out row scope not showing the preview. Okay, so that's for me for later to look into. Let's see here. So now I have the start of a test day. We are going to make this 50 dp. And inside here, what we're going to do is, this is going to, so we're going to set the variables up to be passed in to allow the test day to show up. But first I want to be able to put the data in, or just put the data and make the chart look the way that it should be looking. So we're going to say that's the height of the bar, but this is the height of the chart. Oops. And the height of the chart we're going to say is 200 for now. So, one thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put the, for the case of this, do I need that though? It's going to be anchored to the bottom. I'm trying to think through the process of, does the view need to be all the way from the top to the bottom? Or does it just need to be here, anchored to the bottom? Because if so, then this is technically all I need. And I don't need the height of the chart or the scale. Let's see what happens if I do it this way real quick. Height of the chart. So yeah, that's right. I'm not going to need that. Okay. So I don't need the height of the chart. So I just need the height of what the size of the steps are going to be. And then I also need how many steps were done. So value steps equals 1099. Floating point number. Then I can actually just take steps and stick it right into here. As a string that there should populate the information. Oh, showing that $sign. Let's refresh. It should show 1099. I change up the numbers on and off because I like to see, for example, if I use 1000 everywhere, then I don't know if it's actually changing or not. Okay, so the next step is oh yeah, to get rid of the dot on the dot 0, I need to put on steps, I need to tell it to integer, to change it from a floating point to an integer. The problem is it thinks that this right here is part of the text. See how it looks green? It thinks that it's part of the text, and to get around that, you use these squiggly brackets. And everything between the two squiggly brackets is code that gets calculated and then turned into the text at the end. Okay, so now when I refresh, that should put it down here. Okay, perfect. So now that we have this built, I'm going to give it, I'm going to take these two values and stick them into test day. It's not going to like that, is it? let me see what's wrong. It's probably going to say a type annotation is required on the value parameter. Add type DP to parameter height. What does that do? What did I just do? I'm trying to figure out why it changed. Oh, it's saying that this type is of type DP. That's right. So this type is of float. And then this right here says val on function parameters are not allowed. So this is not the syntax that you use for that. So in this test day, I have these two default parameters, which makes this view. But when I actually create a test day, I'll be overriding the height and the steps. And this is where the fun comes in, because, I might as well also do color, because you don't always want yellow, but for default, we'll use yellow. And so instead of doing always being yellow inside the code, we'll make it flexible and copy the color from up here. So whatever's passed in is the color that it's going to be. Now this test day, we're actually going to use for the first day of the week right here. I'm a little nervous about not having the width, or sorry, the weight being 1, so it might mess stuff up. But hey, let's try it. Let's erase this box, or comment it out real quick. So now you should only see 6 days. Refresh. You should only see 6 days up here. Yep, there we go, 6 days. And now we're going to make a test day. And now we're gonna refresh with this test day. And it should show what we had before. But now it's the default yellow box with 1099, which is not any number in the default list at all. There's no 1099. It's pulling that number from right here, the default amount of steps inside this tool. So instead of test day, we're actually, now that this is actually a thing, we're going to name this steps, day of steps, day bar. Day bar, that's funny. Why not? It's a day bar. Who else goes to 7 day bars in one chart? No. My silly joke. Anyways, so now that we have day bar, if anybody else has a better idea for a name, let me know. So inside here, you can actually see the 3 different items that we can overwrite. So we can overwrite the height, the steps, and the color. So, let's do, let's see what those were again. Height with height equals, for now, we'll just throw this number in because we have to calculate that. And steps will be 500. And the color will equal to color, why not? Let's do something different. Not white, light gray. Just to see if it works. It's going to say steps. It needs to be a floating point number. So we'll put the F there for floating point. We'll refresh this. So I made the height be 200 density dp on purpose, so you can see that it's not respecting the scale of the rest of these items. Also, on top of that, if this is 500 steps, then I would much rather do 500 steps than all of these other steps, because it seems like I'm getting a bigger workout that way. But yeah, so you can now set the height of the control, how many steps are being shown at the bottom, and the color. So the calculation that we used for the height before was just day 1 height. So we're just going to stick day 1 height in there. And we're also going to get the day 1 weekly data, daily steps 0, which is day 1. And now we're going to hit refresh, and we're going to see the information from the data get put into the chart. There's the 1039, the right scale, the right height, and it all looks good. So let's double check the data in here. For day 1, it's 1039. Perfect. So there it is. So we now have a secondary control being put inside the main control. And you can see we pretty much took all of this extra stuff out of the way. We don't need to worry about the padding, the weight, and a few other things. It's all done inside this little tiny box. So we can now then create 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make 7 of those. It's gonna make this chart look really wonky for a second. With what, 13 days? 6 plus 7? Oh, look at that. It shoved it all out. We are going to comment out all of these other days real quick. And it should fix itself to 7 again. Yes, I think it should. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is 7. Oh, okay. So there's the issue. So that's the issue I was talking about. That's down here. Is we don't have the weight 1 that we had before, because we used to have that, but it wouldn't let us do it. So I'll be back to fix that in a minute. Right now we have a set width of 50. Okay. So down here, we are going to change these to day 2, day 3, day 4, oops, day 5. If you're fast enough, it doesn't pop up on you. And then, of course, the data. 6, 5, 4, 3. Oops, I didn't want to delete that. Undo that. There we go. Okay. Now we have the height of each day in there, along with the data of each day for steps. We're going to hit refresh, and it should scale these all up and down properly. Bam. There we go. So now we have each day, the scaling is proper, the amount of steps is proper, and now we have a little bit control over the colors, right? So we can also, before I do want to fix this scaling left and right to make sure that it fits properly. But I also want to have there be like a way to know if that day meets the goal or not. Like if you pass the goal on that given day. And we are going to jump over to the data object real quick. And we're going to create another thing right below it that says function weekly steps dot did achieve daily goal. Did achieve daily goal. And what this is going to do is inside here, we're going to say, day float, and I'm basically not float, index, which is an integer, equals 0. So if you don't enter a value, I want it automatically to have 0, day 0, because it's just an easy way to calculate that. So did achieve daily goal 0, and so what's going to happen is it's going to say we're gonna say if let's see what this is real quick, just so we're aware. This right here, the keyword this is the weekly steps data object that you're currently in. So if you, for example, just go with the default, you'll have this data. You can also create other sets of data too. So this daily steps with the index of day. I guess I can call that day index, not to get confused. Oops. Day index. So day index in here is greater than or equal to goal. That's what we're testing. We're saying get the daily steps for that day and find out if it's equal to or greater than the goal. And if it is, then it should be a true. If it's a false, then it will be a false. And so we're gonna return this. And it's gonna say, wait a minute. We require a unit, but we found a boolean. A boolean is a true or false value. A unit is just a blank nothing, more or less. So we have to tell it here that we're expecting to return back a boolean true or false value. That fixes that issue. So now I can go back to basic chart and I can say, for color, for example, I can say, hey, wait a minute, I have this weekly data here. Did I achieve daily goal for day 0? And then I can say, let's see if I can do this. Let's see, I think it's question mark. And then I might have to change this up, but yeah, question mark. And then if I did, it's gray. But if I didn't, let's just say red. Okay, it's not gonna like that. So instead, I'm gonna do it this way. If did achieve daily goal, then, oh, not then. You know, I am doing this all wrong. Yes, I am. Okay, erase that. Under a lot of stress. Okay, when, this is so much easier. When, when this value is true, do this. When it's false, do this. Why does that not like me? Oh, because I haven't actually put the color in yet. The color, if it's true and you completed your daily value, let's do green, because, you know, common color. Green is success, and red, of course, failure. What else does it want? Expecting. I have an extra one of these somewhere, don't I? That. When. This. That. Why does it need that? Oh, I see. I have an extra one of these sitting here. Okay. So these little lines here are really helpful. It's saying, hey, this between this and this is a set, and everything in between is good to go. Like it all belongs in there. But if I add another one of these, it throws everything off. It's like, hey, wait a minute. There's no beginning and closing mark that matches this somewhere. And you can click on each thing and see which symbol that matches up to it. You can also collapse different pieces if you want to, in the IDE as well. Okay, so now it says color equals when the weekly data did achieve daily goal for day 0 is true, show a green, false, show a red. And so now I'm going to copy this into each of the color sections. And we are going to see which days if the days above the goal turn a different color or not. And let's try it. Oh, it's saying that day 4 did not pass the goal line. Let's see why. So day 4. Oh, here it is. When weekly data did achieve daily goal, day index 0, which is Sunday. I guess it depends. Sunday to Saturday's the normal calendar. So let's say day 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 is day 4. There we go. Now that I put day 3 in there, it turned green. This is day 2. Day 2. Day index 1. This is day index 5. Day index 6. Copy and paste is a killer. Oop, day index 7 is an error. That's because it doesn't exist. It's only 0 through 6. So 0 through 6. 5, 4. There we go. And now we should see one day past the daily goal, and the other ones below the daily goal. So this right here allows you to distinguish, basically bring in two colors if you programmatically, if you want to like have a certain theme for the graph. You can say, okay, if I do want to have the days I pass the goal to be a different, like maybe has a little shine to it, or it looks differently. Maybe, I don't know, you can make any animation you want for it. It's just a way to separate which days did you pass the goal and which days you didn't. Okay, so each one of these now is an individual control. Now we just got to fix the scaling left and right. Okay, so the way we do that is this day bar is inside of a row. So if I type in this is a row scope. So in between this squiggly and the squiggly way, oop, I can get rid of all this text out of here now. Between this squiggly, I call them squigglies, and this squiggly, everything in between here has this this row scope, and that row scope says anything that any composable function that is in here can access that information. For example, the weight. And so now I need to make sure that the day bar knows about that. So I need to figure out how to do that. I thought it was by doing this. Row scope dot day bar. But when I do that, the preview disappears. And that's where I'm confused at. However, the day bar did disappear. The preview did disappear, but will it let me actually do the weight now? Let's find out. 1F. We'll get rid of the width of 50, hit refresh, and see if it stretches out. So it worked. It's just not giving me the preview down here. That's interesting. I wonder. I'm trying to figure out why it doesn't want to give me the preview. I will leave this comment in here and find out later why this control isn't giving me a preview down here. The way around this, just temporarily, is to make this right here just a test one, and change this weight or this width, basically making a copy of it to 50. And so test day bar will appear down here, whereas this one will not. And so it's basically making a copy of the code to fool the system. So we can still see, well, at least we should be able to see. 50. Yeah. Oh, row scope is off. Weight is off. Now it's not wanting to show me? That's interesting. What's the difference? Box, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I took the preview off of this one. It still has row scope. Huh. I do not know. That's really interesting. Let's see if this right here. Unable to find preview. Test day bar. The preview will display after rebuilding the project. Oh, okay. Well, let's rebuild it. It's probably still going to have it even though it rebuilt. We'll figure that out later. Okay, anyways. So now we have that control. It stretches properly. I believe there was one more thing. Each one of these controls are separate. We're running off the data now. I'm trying to remember if there was one more thing. Let's take away this piece. We don't need this piece down here. This test value can be gone. Oh yeah, I know what we could do. So I was thinking about it. Yeah, hit stop here. Let's go ahead and put this chart real quick inside, we'll call it test chart, inside the actual app. So we're just gonna throw it right here on this home page. And that right there is going to be inside screens. Ignore this. This right here was something I was working on to play around with colors and patterns and stuff. Okay, so inside screens. Over here we have this thing called structures, which shows us the structure of this file. I'm gonna jump into the dashboard screen, which is the one that just says welcome in my name. For anybody who wants to know if I'm doxxed or not, I'm all over the place on the internet, so easily you can find out any information if you want. Okay, so in here, inside the dashboard here, all we have is text that says welcome and then the user's display name. If the user's display name is null, then we're going to put NA, which is not available. And the style of the text is going to be material theme, header 6, size 6. Right beneath this, we're going to put in the test chart, which should automatically already have the default data there. We're going to see what happens. Oops. Hit play and see if it takes it. It may not. Oh, look at that. It took it. Okay, so we have this chart in the app. Looks a little silly, I know. If we wanted to, for an example, let's see, do something with it. Let's go ahead and just for now do something like box. I'm just gonna throw something around it real quick. I need to turn this preview thing off. There we go. Box, and inside the box we're just going to put a modifier of fill max width, of course, and then we're going to give it a border. And inside there we can give it a width, a brush, and a shape, or a width, a color, and a shape. Let's give it a width and a color. The width is going to be 2.dp. And the color is going to be color dot black. But before that, we're going to give it a padding of 2 dp. Okay, we're going to make this look a little better now, formatting wise, to be able to understand the different pieces. Oops. Auto format. There we go. That's much better. Okay, so what we're doing is we're saying fill the max width, give it a padding of 2 dp all the way around it, and then we're going to give it a border, a black border of 2 dp around that, and then inside we're going to toss the test chart, and see what happens. And rerun. And it says something. Changes were not applied. Oh, because I changed something, I have to do a complete rebuild, I think, is what it's saying. I tried to do an automatic rebuild without actually, yeah. So I just basically bordered this with the black border, just to be able to see it in action. I could even, if I wanted to, throw in another padding of left. Oops, not left. Left. Yeah, left. 2 dp. Let's do 4. Is it? No, start. Yeah, start. Top is good. So, let's see, verticals up and down, horizontal. There we go. 4.dp. And rerun that. I basically, I'm gonna give it a little bit more spacing. What was that beeping?
Okay, here's what I found online.
Oh, my phone clicked itself? Wow, okay. That's weird. Okay, so I just gave it a little bit more padding on here, not to cut the letters off. But basically, here's a weekly step chart demo that's in here. What I want to do, I want to temporarily, what I want to do is I want to make it swipeable, just real quick to see what would happen. Is there a way to easily do that? Let me look. 45. Yeah. Just as an example of what it would look like, we're gonna take this control and we're going to make it where you can swipe through a whole bunch of these for the fun of it. So let's do a lazy row. That's what they call it. I love it. A lazy row. And inside the lazy row, what we're going to do is we are going to set up, of course, a modifier of max width, because we want to fill the screen to the width and let the height auto adjust itself. And inside, we're going to give it a test chart. But not just one. We're going to give it a lot for the fun of it, just to see what happens. It's gonna look kind of corny because, you know, there's not gonna be any snapping features or anything. Oh, it definitely messed up. So it smushed them all together, but it does scroll though. That's on the plus side, right? Let's see here. Lazy row, fill max width. What I'm not seeing is each one of these is not keeping its full width. So the way to fix that is you would give it, for example, you can say something like box, which is just another box around it, and a modifier inside of it, and fill max width. I'm gonna see what happens when I do one of these like this. And then I'm gonna copy and paste another one. Okay, so we have one. Whoa. We have one. Nothing else is being shown. What is in test chart? Let me look at this real quick. Test chart, weekly data. So the data's there. Test value. That part didn't matter. Okay. So fill max width, height of 200. That should be fine. So I'm curious to find out why it's not drawing it the way that it should be drawing it. But I'm going to throw in a couple more of these just to see what happens real quick. And I'm guessing it's going to be exactly the same as it was before, but it's actually going to be spaced out. Oh, it's not. That's interesting. We definitely have the scrolling ability here, but there's going to be a little bit more work around basically being able to have a weekly chart that you can swipe through for like the month and, you know, however long back you want to go. But yeah, that's crazy. That's what happens when you just jump into something just to see if it would work. Let's see here. Let's erase all of that and all of this. There we go. Yeah. And then we should be able to get back to where we were. Yep, there we go. Okay, so now we have a weekly chart that is based upon a weekly steps data. Weekly steps data. So it actually runs off the data. Some of the calculations are performed in extension functions off of that data. And the chart is a lot more condensed down into these self-contained components for the days, which is super nice. And then what's out here? This is this is the goal line, and then also the title right here. Excuse me. I'm going to actually change this real quick to title. This the title up here. Title is going to be a string of characters, which is going to equal, for default, oops. Oh, I copied the wrong thing. Rewind. Take that out. Change this to title. Scroll back up. Title, which is a type of string of characters, and the default is weekly steps chart demo. So that there allows me to take the title and make it dynamic. The word goal doesn't really need to be dynamic right now. Yeah, so everything else can stay the way it is for now. One more thing. What was it? Let's see here. So we've shown what weekly steps data does by default. If we want to take and make a test chart that allows you to put in, for example, weekly data into the test chart that is not. Oh, here, let me put the comma in here to separate these. We can actually put in, this is the default. So by default, it is weekly step data. This is the type of data it is. This is just the default if no one else uses it. But this also allows us to now that we have it up here, inside the screen section, let's say we actually load this data from a server. I can actually say, hey, the title is now March. I don't even know what today is. I'm just gonna throw March 8th week, whatever. And then I'm actually gonna say let's say this comes from the server, weekly data is actually a different set of data, not just you know, what is there by default, but we're going to say the goal for this week was 10,000. And we're going to say that the daily steps is a list of, and the data, oh, this is red. That needs an F at the end. The daily steps for this week was, let's say, I didn't really do well on Sunday, didn't move much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If this data came from the server or from, for example, Fitbit, Google Health, let's say that one was 12,000. This one right here was 2250. This one right here was 22,000. This here was 8,000. 9,500. And then 10,200. So here it is, test chart with a different title and a different goal for the week, along with different steps data. And now let's see what happens. And this should be the last thing for this stream, but this is just how to make a control run off of data. There. Now the goal is 10,000 steps for the week, and it's the week of March 8th. So, you know, I don't even know if that's the beginning or ending of a week. I don't know. But yeah. So goal is 10,000. Sunday, nothing. Did really good on Monday. Tuesday, which was never good anyways. Wednesday, you know, you get a little sideways. No, I'm just fine. I think that's a country song. And then, you know, 8,000, 9,500, 10,200. But yeah, so there we go. That's there's the chart that's running off the data, broken up into day controls, and then now we're ready to be able to pull data for a given week into here. And we can also stylize it and make the graph any which way we want it to look. But the backing data is now there to be able to manipulate, to be able to bring in the data from the server and have the chart reflect that data. But yeah, so I know that was a little long, but yeah. Let me know what you guys think, you know, comment section or whatever. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out, guys and ladies. Appreciate it. Until next time, catch you guys later.